Center for Media.
Is it a revolution? If there was a bigger word, it would be that.
Whenever you want, whenever you want it, wherever you want it. It's organized chaos, put it that way. Can anybody predict what's going to happen? No.
The smartest people I know admit that they wake up in the morning not quite sure what's going to happen next.
There'll probably be more change in media in the next 5 years than there have been in the last 50 years.
We need to be having this conversation because these are challenging times.
As media and communications makes the world smaller, it's that much more critical that we understand how the media works, how it influences people. The media has been all-powerful for a very long time, but as it goes forward, it gets even more powerful.
We in television are convinced that the ability to portray immediacy, realize what's new, what's going on, is the true significance of this new communications bridge.
There's no question that radio and television, when they came into our lives, completely transformed not only communication, but the ways in which we live.
Probably the biggest seismic shift in the media landscape is the transfer of power. In the good old days, the networks, the channels had the control.
Now you sit down and watch what you want to, either because it's on a DVR or because you're looking at 2 and 3 minute clips on the internet.
The changes are happening as fast as brilliant minds and brilliant technologists can cause them to happen.
It's not a bad thing, but it is a challenging thing, and it means that you do have to change or you become irrelevant.
The Paley Center offers something that I don't think there's any place else in the country that offers, which is an opportunity for people to gather together and experience what is going on today in media.
What we're really good at is trying to unbundle this very confusing environment we're in.
Does media shape society, or does it reflect it? The Paley Center is a place where we can talk about that.
Well, in a lot of ways, I think the Paley Center can be the water cooler for the industry. A place where we pretty regularly get together.
It's not just the 3 networks meeting together. It's now the idea that there are hundreds of channels of video and thousands of audio choices.
Many have formed friendships that never existed. Many have undertaken projects that never would have happened.
When you bring in the cultures of all these different industries, and then you become something different than you were before.
I think the Paley Media Center at the center of this new global media is going to be a very exciting thing. You know, how do we bring different countries together in one place? You know, can we see things that are happening on the BBC and Al Jazeera and how they're doing different things?
We've never been so badly in need of a filter as we are now. We're all trying to figure it out.
I'm a big believer in asking provocative questions. That's what inspires people to think about ideas.
We all long for the experience of media as a community. For the public, we offer the kinds of programs that both use our collection as well as put together panels of top personalities to look at media in every aspect.
For me, coming to the Paley Center as an actor, as an artist, has really been a wonderful opportunity to get in touch with my audience, which has really been informative as a producer and as an actor. And I've also been on stage, so I've been on both sides of the camera, so to speak.
When you bring people together in a place that is considered kind of safe, those kinds of conversations can be really important, life-changing.
We all are moving toward the unknown. We live in a much more open environment today than we did when this institution was started. And we have to evolve.
One of the exciting things about the work that's going on here is that it's going to reverberate at a time when understanding the connections among people and the way media affects those connections is going to be critical to the survival of the planet.
Our choices become the leading edge towards where media is going to go.
I think that media has that opportunity to educate and inform and to have to realize they're not as different as they may think they are.
As the Paley Center evolves, our role can be so much more important because there are so many more questions. And our key position is not actually to provide the answers, but to make sure that all the relevant questions are being asked and discussed. And if we're able to do that, we will fulfill our mission.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Pat Mitchell, President and CEO of the Paley Center for Media.
We're going to begin our media discussion today by disconnecting. I know this is hard. I can't let this out of my hand, but I am going to be very brave and hit the off-on switch right now. And the reason I'm going to ask you to do that is because, believe it or not, in this sound environment, even if you keep it on vibrate, it can sometimes interfere with the sound of the microphones of the panel. So I hope you can do that, and if you really have to go and get connected, and we all understand you do, just briefly walk outside to the lobby and reconnect. I'm so pleased to welcome all of you here this morning, and I'm glad we started the day with the video. It saves me a lot of words because, in the words of the trustees of this institution, you have heard why it exists and what it is that we want to do. But it's always good when we have new people here, and we do today. We actually have friends who come from far reaches and other places, not only within this country, but also from other countries, and we welcome you all. And you will allow me, I hope, just a few minutes to expand a bit on what you heard about the Paley Center for Media, why we're here, and why we're doing this particular partnership. As one of our trustees said at the end of that video, we're not here to provide the answers always, although we do occasionally get to a new understanding. But we certainly are here to raise all the questions. And one of the questions that was raised to us early on is, why is it so difficult for women media entrepreneurs, or women entrepreneurs in general, but in our case, media entrepreneurs, to have access to the venture capital markets? And that's what the purpose of our gathering here today is. Now, when William Paley, one of the first media entrepreneurs, who founded CBS along with several other businesses, when he launched and founded this institution 3 decades ago, his idea was really a rather simple one, that we needed to have a place that would preserve, protect, and make available to the public media that was being created on a daily basis by what was then, of course, the 3 major networks. The idea being that in order to understand where we were in the world and where we were going, it was always a good idea to be able to reflect on our past. So the past 30 years of media, actually more when you think of radio, we have almost 80 years of media content, advertising, radio, television, and on an increasing basis, digital content, in the library in this building and in the library in our Los Angeles building. It's 140,000 hours and counting. It's the largest public archive available for the public to come in and access. So that collection does still have great value to the Paley Center for Media. It does help us do what we talk about doing and do often in our public programs, look at the past and see its connection to our present and to our future. But we also have, as you have heard, and many of you have been here to participate in, the kind of forums, the kind of conferences, the kind of symposium that we are hosting today that offer media consumers and users an opportunity to come together, to talk about trends, what's happening, and to see how, in fact, media is impacting not only our businesses, but the way we live and the way that we interact with each other. So out of this always evolving thinking going on here at the Paley Center for Media, how can we, as an institution, use this lens of media to focus on the issues of our time, to focus on the needs of media consumers, to better understand the transformative changes, and to focus on the needs of the media industry to adjust itself to all those changes. And in doing that, we like to think that we become the network for the networks. And by the networks, I mean broadcast, cable, as well as those networks now based in Silicon Valley and all of the platforms on which you and I are receiving our content. And we're going to hear so much more about innovative ways to do just that today. So a few years ago, two very innovative and visionary trustees of the Paley Center for Media, Kay Popovitz and Lorene Arbus, had a great idea. That while we were in the business of celebrating and exploring the role of media, there was one group of people in the history of media whose contributions were largely uncelebrated, often unwritten, unknown, unrecorded, undocumented. And they set about, along with Barbara Kotlikoff from the Paley Center staff and other team members here, they set about trying to identify who these extraordinary, groundbreaking women in television and radio had been. And they began an initiative called She Made It. And now, 4 years later, or 3 years later, we have 150 women celebrated in the She Made It initiative. We have created an enormous archive on the She Made It website, which is hosted on the paleycenter.org website. And there you can go and read the stories and watch and view the work and listen to the work of the women who made the groundbreaking moves, were the entrepreneurs in their own areas, broke ground for other women and men in their businesses. We now have a collection of 1,500 hours of the honorees programs, and we've hosted numerous seminars here to celebrate their work and look at the legacy of it. We also created a network of 150 accomplished women who were willing and eager to share what they had learned with other women in the field. So it was the She Made It initiative here and Kay Kopovitz's Springboard, which she will tell you much more about, that decided to come together and offer today's opportunity. An opportunity for the entrepreneurs of today, those women media entrepreneurs looking for an opportunity to bring their change to the media landscape. An opportunity to put them together with the kind of supporters who can help make their dreams and their businesses a reality. So that's why we're here today. We're looking forward to a full and exciting day, and it's all possible because of the sponsors whose names you will see here. It always takes innovative and interesting and visionary sponsors in order to make any activity like this come to be. So I want to thank them on behalf of Springboard and the Paley Center for Media. And I also want to thank the members of the Forum Committee. They have spent an enormous amount of time over the last several months putting this all together, and there you see the names of those tremendously important supporters. And now let me introduce you to the woman whose really an idea this was, Kay Kopovitz. She's been an extraordinary partner and an extraordinary supporter of the Paley Center for Media. She's been a trustee for well over 15 years, and all of you know Kay's background. She is the epitome of a successful entrepreneur, having founded USA Network. She's now the chairman of Liz Claiborne. She's a seasoned venture capitalist, and frankly, folks, she's a force of nature. Please welcome Kay Kopovitz.
My colleague, the other force of nature, Pat Mitchell. Thank you, Pat. You have spoken so eloquently about the powerful value of human capital. Here at the Paley Center for Media and at Springboard Enterprises, we believe in that human capital that binds us. I'm really a firm believer in these networks of powerful people who bring together those who have the ideas, the innovations, and the emerging ventures and build them into very big businesses. I've always liked big. That is why when Springboard President Amy Millman and I talked to each other a little over a year ago and said, what industry should we focus on next to really bring women to the forefront? And of course, here at the Paley Center, along with my colleague Lorene Arbus and She Made It project, we said, this is the great connector. What a wonderful opportunity. If you are an entrepreneur in a new business, wouldn't you just love to get in front of people who are the powerful people in that industry? That's what we brought together here. When we launched Springboard in 2000 to recruit talented women entrepreneurs to facilitate these connections to sources of both financial and human capital. Now, 360 companies that have previously presented at Springboard Forums are phenomenally successful for themselves, for their companies, and for their investors. Some of the presenters here today are from the class of 2000, and they're back with their next venture, having successfully sold their first one. These companies, these 360 companies, have already gathered together over $4 billion in capital that has been raised. Over 40% of these companies have had positive liquidity events for their investors, and this includes 7 IPOs. Yesterday, we celebrated those 7 companies at the ringing of the closing bell of NASDAQ, and let me just say, they gave women credit for driving the economy and the stock market this week. Just the other night, I heard from one of our founders who presented in 2000. Her company is clairvoyant, and her name is Candace Brown Elliott, who sold her company earlier this year to Samsung, but she was very excited about a breakthrough. Now, I remember Candace so well in that presentation. Some of my colleagues who were there, I see in the room today, remember too. Candace was running around with the first OLED screen for cell phones. And in that year, that picture just jumped out of a cell phone. 8 years ago, this woman had the technology to make this happen, but people dissed her. People said it's just a myth. It's never going to happen. Well, guess what? This product is in the market. She sold her company to Samsung. It is now in the market with Casio and Hitachi phones, and it's just the beginning, and we couldn't be prouder of Candace. We've met thousands of talented and driven entrepreneurs just like Candace, and I'm proud to say that Springboard has played a role in their success. I'm confident that the companies presenting today will also be successful. Some of them are serial entrepreneurs, as I've said, and they're back to present their second companies to you. Before we start the program, though, I do want to say a really heartfelt thanks to the staff here at the Paley Center for Media. Barbara Kotlikoff, the technology staff, all of the creators here have worked so hard with our entrepreneurs to make this program a success. And of course, my colleague, Amy Millman, who is the president of Springboard Enterprises, who cares so much about each one of these entrepreneurs. I want to thank Amy and the staff at Springboard Enterprises. Without all of them, this wouldn't be happening. In fact, without the 200 people who have worked with us to present this program, we wouldn't be here today. But first, before we begin the program, we're going to, the presenters that is, we're going to have a short panel. We thought it would be great to launch this forum and to share with you 4 of our entrepreneurs who have built their companies and taken them to IPOs. Their insights into what it takes to be successful and navigate through rocky waters and this terrain that we're in today will be a fitting start, I think, to what we're going to hear today. Moderating the panel will be our colleague Terry Santisi, a member of the steering committee of She Made It and a founder of T Media Services, a strategic business advisory firm providing media companies with assistance in their M&A, change management, and strategic business decisions. Terry brings a really extensive background. We've known each other for years, an extensive background in the media business, including Interpublic Media, KPMG's global media and entertainment practice, and EMI, one of the biggest music companies in the world. So I bring you Terry Santisi, who's going to introduce our panelists. Terry.